Hello there, Sam here. I thought I'd jump on here today and just talk a bit about the lost years, the suffering experience, how OCD can feel when really in the midst of the suffering, when we're caught up with it and we're missing sort of external events going on, and how it really makes us feel. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is because I've just jumped off a real talk video with Mark and Momin. I just wanted to expand on a few points by myself. So, first of all, what do I mean by the lost years? So, as we get better, as we're not only feeling better, but we're getting better, we're maintaining our emotional health, if you wish. We're maybe getting triggered less. We're really seeing a shift in our perspectives, really seeing that the fears are not as scary as once seemed. Things aren't latching as much. You feel like you are getting better. There's progress being made. Okay. Now, the last years is when we look back at those years when we were suffering, or those months, however long you've been suffering, and think, fuck, what have I missed out on? What have I lost? Blah, blah, blah. So if I give you a few personal examples of me. Now, back in 2018 was the time that I was really, really suffering. I'll just say briefly, I mean, I've explained it in my previous videos, but I was on holiday and I just collapsed really. Mental breakdown, couldn't function, crying, confession after confession after confession after confession, whether that be thoughts, real event, false memory, whatever it may be. Anyway, I broke down, like I said, I couldn't function. And that was when I was up, I'd say, my worst, at rock bottom. And I didn't even know how OCD operated then. I didn't even know what OCD was. I remember doing a bit of research on intrusive thoughts, but that was only because my fiance, and she's got a bit of a background in medical and psychology. She said, "Oh, read about this. Can you relate to this?" And that then led me down to finding out what OCD was and how it worked. Okay, so that was when I was at my worst, 2018. Now, gradually, my ups and downs, many downs, many days and nights of crying my eyes out, lots of avoidance, lots of compulsion, or compulsions, not just a singular. Living in a chronic guilt cycle, panicking, anxious all the time, not looking forward to anything, feeling like nothing else mattered. So a big one of mine was real event, false memory OCD, trying to work out whether things were real in the past, constantly trying to find that key for freedom by analysing and ruminating over an event in the past, trying to figure it out. I spent ages and hours and years thinking like that. All right, so I first came to Rob in, I think it was July 2019, and that is when progress started being made. I was introduced to unconditional acceptance, looking at my beliefs, having planned exposures for my specific fears, reading the books on the reading list, and living life regardless of how I was feeling, bringing it for the ride. All these components, all these ingredients that come with getting better and staying better. All right, but before I go off on any more of a tangent, if I go back to what I mean by lost years. So when I look back now I'm doing really, really well, at a really a place of where the chronic state of guilt is no more. The baseline state is peace. There's no longer intrusive thoughts hammering away all the time. I'm not in a chronically anxious state, not panicking all the time. During times of, let's say, intimacy, I haven't got intrusive thoughts battering away because I've worked on my fears and beliefs there. I'm not putting off big important events. I'm in a really good place, hence why I'm doing these videos now, and I want to from my suffering, I want to find purpose in that and want to help you. I want to help people watching these videos. I want to give you an insight of how you can get better. So I want me to be someone you can relate to, and I was once in your shoes of that suffering and no hope, and I can't possibly go on, nothing else matters, I need to give up, blah blah blah, because I fully understand how that feels, hence why I'm doing these videos today. I'm doing the real talks, and you'll see some of my work on the OCD recovery page on Instagram, things like that. Anyway, I'll get to what I mean now by the lost years. So I look back and think, fuck, what have I missed out on? And let's say, let's start with trivial stuff. Okay, I'll talk about the big important stuff that you missed out on, but trivial stuff. Let's say events in the news, things like that. And people talk about it and you're like, fuck, I completely missed that because I was so caught up in my own head. I was so caught up in a real event from the past. I was so caught up about a thought that came in during intimacy. I was so caught up about when I was driving earlier in my car today, and I nearly, I didn't really know how close I was to that pedestrian or that cyclist. I was so caught up thinking about that. Sure, things that you can relate to. Things that we miss because we're so caught up in our head, caught up in our suffering. It could be, I mention this a lot in my videos, but it could be football scores or sporting events, music concerts, things that you would go to, that you might have been there, you might have been elsewhere in your head, or you might have completely avoided it altogether. Socialising, social events, family events, things like that you may have put off, or were there but in a constant panic, or you had to leave early, things that I've done many times, or made up an excuse to say I need to get out of there, I can't focus, I can't function. And at the time it felt like, look, I've done a good thing by getting out of there. I've looked after myself by not feeling the panic. I've got out of an uncomfortable situation. But not only did I realise that when I was doing these avoidance and putting off these things, they were building up, and now I look back and think, fuck, I've missed out on so much stuff. Okay, but that is not a negative, okay? That's the main part of this video. What have I learned from that experience, okay? Yes, we can look back and think, oh my God, fuck, I've missed all that, that's terrible. Oh no, I can't go back in life, blah, blah, blah. But I can also look at it and go, wow, what have I learned from those experiences? How have I changed my perspectives? How have I changed my beliefs to help me in the future? You can't go back in time. You can't try and change anything. You can go, fuck, oh, you didn't avoid that, but you did, okay? All you can look back for, all you can look onto now is the future, and how you can use your suffering and your OCD experience and struggles, and how you can use that to help benefit you in the future, whether that be with OCD or just life struggles or life issues in general. Okay, now, I mentioned trivial stuff. I'm going to go on about bigger stuff that I missed along my journey. So an example that I gave in the real talk, I'm going to go into some more details now, is how I missed my brother going to hospital. Okay, he hurt himself. Wasn't anything too serious, but it was enough to go to hospital for a couple of weeks. It was an injury. Now, because I was so caught up in my own mind, in my own ruminating, or just like a real event in the past, is because that happened, nothing else externally matters. Okay, that's how self-centered, selfish OCD can come across. Of course, we don't think like that when we're in the moment, because we think we can't possibly bear. I can't even think about going to hospital when this thing happened in the past, or I had this thought then. I had this thought, a really bad time. I can't even think about going to hospital. I can't even think about other people's issues, other people's problems. All I can is think about myself and how I can do a compulsion, how I can do some avoidance to get myself out of that. That's how it can feel at times. Other big events, avoiding like stuff like job interviews and things like that, where you think, okay, I might be a bit motivated to go out there and get myself a job, and then it'll come to the day and think, no, I can't do that. I've been triggered the night before. No, I can't possibly do that. I'll put that off. I'll do it another time when I get better from OCD. Now that wasn't going to get me anywhere, because I was putting it off until the time I got better. I wasn't bringing it for the ride. I wasn't doing things regardless of how I was feeling. I was waiting until tomorrow to do difficult or challenging or uncomfortable stuff. All right, that's the thing that I talk about a lot, doing things regardless of how we're feeling. Okay, so I don't look at that now as that was terrible. Of course, it was a really challenging time in my life. I'm not saying it's all sunshine and rainbows. It's all happy as Larry. No, of course, but it was really bloody difficult time. I don't think I've ever faced anything as difficult as my OCD battle, OCD suffering. Really, really difficult. However, what have I learned from that suffering? See that quick change in mindset, that quick change in perspective of how we look at things, okay? I can't go back. Yes, I suffered of OCD. Yes, I did all that avoidance. Yes, I spent so many fucking hours of doing compulsions. So much time of avoiding stuff and replaying events in the past and all that, especially real event, false memory, trying to go in the past and trying to look back and go, did this happen? Or from this angle, how old was I then? Or what were the intentions then? Or did I do this? Or did I do that? I spent so much time doing that. But I don't sit back and go, fuck, why did I do that? I go, okay, I didn't understand how OCD operated, but what can I learn from that? Okay, how have I changed my beliefs to get over that? How have I shifted my perspectives to look at an event very different from what I did when I was suffering to how I look at it now? Okay, so I'm always looking forward. Okay, no point looking back all the time. Yes, I can learn from the past. Yes, I can learn from mistakes and how I can not do that again or better myself or whatever. But looking in the past and dwelling on it and thinking about it all the time wasn't getting me anywhere. All right, and I relate that a lot to the lost years. I remember when I first started feeling better and feeling freedom, you could say. It then hit me with, I remember feeling, you could say, quite suicidal. I was really, really down, really depressed that the years that I've lost, spent wasted time. All right, but that was a zero return investment, thinking it like that. Okay, I quickly, and when I realised, I say quickly, but I then realised that was doing me no good. It was no benefit to me. So I go, okay, how can I use my suffering and use that for my and to help people like you and for my own benefit in the future. All right, so before I go around in circles, I just want to talk about that it's not all doom and gloom, however tough it may feel. However, if you're having a really, really bad day, if you feel like I can't possibly do this any longer, I really feel down in the dumps, that I've lost all hope, that no one understands me, that you're the exception, that hit me with that a lot, that mine was real. It might be a new theme and go, right, no one's had this theme before, so that means it's real. Or the tools don't work for me, so that means it's real. Trust me, I completely understand how that feels. I can relate to that. But that is all, our changing our beliefs and changing our perspectives is all the benefit for the future and how we can overcome all life obstacles, or most of life obstacles, life challenges, if we put the work in and use our OCD suffering as a real benefit and as a tool to overcome anything in life. Anyway, I hope this video has been enjoyable. I hope it's been very helpful. It's just wanted to be that motivational, and disciplined, and that you really can get better. All right. Anyway, if you like this video, please leave a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. If you're interested in any of our services, whether that be webinars, one-to-one coaching, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com. And any suggestions from me or anyone else on the channel, please leave a comment. That'd be much appreciated. Anyway, you take care. Have a lovely day or evening wherever you are in the world. Bye bye.